Well, they're really pushing the second wave here in Australia. They're saying Victoria is in the grip of the second wave. And they're really pushing it, folks. They're really pushing it. They're bringing in mandatory face masks in Victoria now. They're saying the second wave is going to be tougher to deal with, of course, than the first wave. I would suggest one of the reasons it's going to be tougher is because they're bringing in things like mandatory face masks. It's now a $200 fine in Melbourne if you leave your house without a face mask on. So basically they're making you perform an action which is going to make you sick under the threat of punishment, under the threat of being fined if you do not adopt this procedure, which is going to inhibit your airflow, cause you to breathe your own viral load back into your body, and essentially make you sick. Avoiding the facial recognition and all the stuff they want to roll out with it, folks, there are certain procedures you could undertake. If you're forced to wear a mask, well, you could kind of go a little bit over the top with it. Some people are doing that. But this is just the beginning, folks. It's not going to go away. I said that months ago, this is not going to go away. They're going to release the lockdown a little bit and then they're going to ramp it up even more. What they want to do, the COVID pass. I mentioned to you a few reports ago, the COVID pass they want to bring in, the mandatory pass that everybody needs to have to show they're infection-free, all the stuff they want to do. They're trialing it in Africa now. They're calling it a trust pass. Isn't that nice? A trust pass to make sure you're vaccinated. A vaccination record payment system is what they're talking about. This is the payment system. They want you to be scanned, retinal scanned, facial scanned, biometric scans, and that's how you're going to be paying. You won't need cash anymore. You won't even need your smartphone anymore. You will be paying with your face. And of course, you'll need a record of vaccination in order to enter the store to begin with. This exercise is due to go until, I think, March 31st, 2025 is when the whole procedure finishes. Interesting date, folks, 2025. I said a couple of years ago, I did a show called Giving Life to Lucifer, when I talked about the whole rollout of this smart grid, the AI system. And I said that in 2025, we are set to be in a very, very different reality to what we are now. By 2025, the whole system will be controlled by AI. That's the way it's going. And even when I look at the procedures now to combat this so-called pandemic, all the computer models, all the stuff that's been rolled out, if you can understand AI and you can understand that AI is working to gain control for itself, then you understand how these computer models work and why they're so over the top and so, the figures were so wrong. But if you can think of a way of controlling and corralling human beings, then it all begins to make sense. It doesn't matter if the figures are wrong. They just want human consciousness to go in a certain way. And they want to merge us with the machine. And the question is, who is they? Like they is now AI. The AI is already there. We're waiting for artificial intelligence to emerge, but really it's already emerged, folks. It's already there online. Artificial intelligence is already a reality. We're just not looking at things the right way. And what it's doing is it's basically creating a system whereby we are going to be completely dependent upon artificial intelligence in order to survive, in order to perform everyday activities, even going outside and purchasing a meal. You're going to need the whole thing controlled by artificial intelligence to be able to move through that reality, through the new world they're creating. When you look at things such as the Industrial Revolution and you look at the periodic changes that society goes through every 50 to 100 years, even more so every 200 years, is always the birth of a new reality comes from the one before, a new beginning, if you will. But what is the new beginning we're moving into? It's really going to be a reality that is totally controlled by AI. You know, it'd be a bit of a shock for these people to find themselves all locked in their own houses, all having to deal with social distancing. Forget all that rock star world, all the pop star world, concerts and sports games and all that sort of stuff. It's not going to happen, folks. It's not going back to normal. People think that, you know, this is just a temporary thing. No, it's not. They'll find ways of extending it, but they've got to do it in ways that the people are going to go along with. So they've got to do it gradually like this, and they've got to do it under the guise of this pandemic. It's the only way they can really get away with it. It's the only way they can get people to buy into it. The only way they can get people to police each other. You get the soccer mums and the Karens and Aarons and all these superficial people to do what the government says and to enforce it upon the other people. Like I've said before, you know, even we awake people, it's all very well for us to be pushing back, but if we don't wake up the people around us, they're going to drag us into it, whether we want to go into it or not. Men need to stand up and be men again. Get rid of this whole new age concept that we can keep our vibration high and love our perpetrators into treating us properly. I mean, forget it, folks. These people are psychopaths. They have no empathy. They don't care how much you try to make them nice and how much you plead with them and how much you treat them like nice people. They'll just revel in that, and they'll take all that nice treatment you want to give them, then they'll turn around and they'll just shaft you any way they can, because that's what they do. Nothing wrong with anger, folks, and we need a little bit more of it. I'm shocked actually at how apathetic people are in the face of this. People's failure to get angry, people's failure to really do anything about it. They just roll over and say, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, and do whatever they're told. It's crazy. We need more anger, folks. Wholesome, righteous anger, not violent anger. We just need men to be men again and remember what it means to be men. Stand up for your women, stand up for your children. Trying to deal with that cyber world and then deal with the real world here. I mean, there's too much attention put on the cyber world. We spend too much time online and in cyberspace doing collectivism when really we should be involved in activism in our own community, folks. And there's a lot to be gained from going out and talking to people in shops and going out and getting amongst it in your own community. And I tend to do a lot of that. And I push back everywhere I go. Anytime I see anyone wearing masks, anytime I see anyone saying they won't accept cash, I mean, I really push the issue. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of people in Australia pushing back, which is a good thing. They're really pushing hard in Victoria, though. As I said, it's the perfect state for them to do it in Victoria. It's the smallest state. You've got a reasonable amount of border to control. It's a good testing ground for the procedures they want to bring in. They're trying to spell it into New South Wales now and say there's hotspots developing in New South Wales. They'll use it as an excuse to keep the Queensland border closed. They'll still put you down as a COVID-19 death simply because you tested positive for this genetic material at some stage, and they don't even know if the genetic material you tested positive for is actually COVID-19, because there's never been a Koch's postulate done. They've never isolated or actually identified this virus as actually existing. So the whole thing's just a big scam, folks. But, you know, that's why they're getting their second wave, because they're pushing this testing. They're making the testing mandatory. And anybody they test is pretty well going to come up positive. I mean, if a pawpaw can come up positive, if engine oil can come up positive, if you can send tests in that haven't even had anybody's, sample put on them and they still come back positive, then pretty well anybody and anything is going to test positive, folks. Most people have had a flu vaccine will test positive. So that's how they're getting their second wave. It's just media driven, media and government driven. There is no second wave because there wasn't a first wave. There is no pandemic, folks. It's a complete scam. It's all about crashing the world economic system. And it's going to get crazier and crazier yet, because I think after 2024, I think around about 2025, the internet is not going to be your friend. And if all of your money is in crypto in 2025, if all your money is in the digital realm and you can't access that digital realm, if you're locked out for some reason, maybe because you said the wrong thing, or, you know, however they're going to go with these trust scores, and that's just the beginning of it. But if all your money is in crypto in that time, I think you're going to find yourself suddenly without. And I think that's going to be a big shock for a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be made, and there's a lot that's worthwhile in investing in the crypto world over the next 2 or 3 years. But after that, I'd be very, very careful after 2024. That's just the way I'm seeing things. You know, if you really look at the whole digital AI world, we kind of passed the threshold in 2015. In 2015, we kind of got to the point of no return, the point where we are becoming so dependent upon the internet and so dependent upon electronic systems to manage our everyday affairs that we've kind of crossed that Rubicon. And it's only going to become more and more dependent. We're just going to see a situation where our dependency is increased upon all this technology, and that's going to go up till about 2025 when we're going to be completely dependent upon it. And at that point, the internet itself takes control of things, and then it decides who can and cannot access the internet. I mean, I really think that's the way it's going to go, folks.